back at it again, and we have another one with the great Thomas Sowell, who I think should be taught in every classroom, but that's just my humble opinion. I got two videos that I'm going to be combining into this one video today, so yeah, let's dive in.
Many of the cant words of politics are simply evasions of reality. A prime example is the notion of making housing, college, health insurance, or other things affordable. Virtually anything can be made affordable in isolation, simply by transferring resources to it from elsewhere in the economy and having most of the costs absorbed by the U.S. Treasury. The federal government could make a Rolls-Royce affordable for every American, but we would not be a richer country as a result. We would in fact be a much poorer country because of all the vast resources transferred from other economic activities to subsidize an extravagant luxury. Of course, it might be nice to be sitting at the wheel of a Rolls-Royce, but we might be sitting there in rags and tatters and gaunt with hunger after having squandered enormous amounts of labor, capital, and costly materials that could have been put to better use elsewhere.
Would be terrible. I don't even think the Rolls-Royce are even that great of cars. I mean, just my humble opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of the look of them anyway. So that would be a total waste, you know, in terrible, beat up clothes sitting in a Rolls Royce. No food to eat, but you got a Rolls Royce. Sheesh, Louise. Y'all let me know. Do you like Rolls Royces? Yes or no?
That doesn't happen in a market economy because most of us take one look at the price tag on a Rolls Royce and decide that it is time for another Toyota. The very
Facts.
notion of making things affordable misses the key point of a market economy. An economy exists to make trade-offs, and a market economy makes the terms of those trade-offs plain with price tags representing the relative costs of producing different things. To have politicians arbitrarily change the price tags so that prices no longer represent the real costs is to defeat the whole purpose. Reality doesn't change when the government changes price tags. Talk about bringing down healthcare costs is not aimed at the costly legal environment in which medical science operates or other sources of needless medical costs. It is aimed at price control, which hides costs rather than reducing them. Hidden costs continue to take their toll, and it is often a higher toll than when these costs are freely transmitted through the marketplace. Less supply, poorer quality, and longer waits have been the consequence of price controls for all sorts of goods and services in all sorts of societies and for thousands of years of human history. Why would anyone think that price controls on medical care would be any different, except for being more deadly in their consequences? One of the political excuses...
Several of you guys have mentioned that you live in places with free healthcare. And it sounds good, but a lot of you have mentioned that, like, for example, there's long wait times, and just the overall healthcare isn't really that great in general. So, yeah, I mean, just from what Thomas Sowell said and from what you guys have been commenting in the comment section, probably ain't a good idea.
Being more deadly in their consequences.
Yep.
One of the political excuses for making things affordable is that a particular product or service is a right. But this is only explaining one question-begging word with another. Although it has been proclaimed that health care is a right, not a privilege, this neat dichotomy ignores the vast territory in between, where most decisions are made as trade-offs. If health insurance is a right and not a privilege, and not even a subject of incremental trade-offs, then the same should be even more true of food. History, in fact, shows all too many instances of governments trying to keep food affordable, usually with disastrous consequences. Whether in France during the 1790s, the Soviet Union after the Bolshevik Revolution, or in newly independent African nations during the past generation, governments have imposed artificially low prices on food. In each case, this led to artificially low supplies of food and artificially high levels of hunger. People who complain about the prohibitive cost of housing, or of going to college, for example, fail to understand that the whole point of costs is to be prohibitive. Why do we go through this whole rigmarole of passing around dollar bills and writing each other checks except to force everyone to economize on the country's inherently limited resources. What about basic necessities?
Sheesh, I wish somebody was handing me all them $100 bills. Please. I need it. My goodness. Can that just be me right there?
Shouldn't they be a right? The idea certainly sounds nice, but the very fact that we can seriously entertain such a notion as if we were God on the first day of creation, instead of mortals constrained by the universe we find in place, shows the utter unreality of failing to understand that we can only make choices among alternatives actually available. For society as a whole, nothing comes as a right to which we are entitled. Even bare subsistence has to be produced, and produced at a cost of heavy toil for much of human history. The only way anyone can have a right to something that has to be produced is to force someone else to produce it for him.
Yep.
The more things are provided as rights, the less the recipients have to work, and the more others have to carry their load. That does not mean more goods are available than under ordinary market production.
And I feel like that system eventually breaks down. Because yes, you're getting something for free and somebody else is working for free. But when that somebody else needs something, then do you then have to work for free? But like you wanted everything for free. But you know what? Eventually it breaks down because both people are in need. So then nobody is able to work and get the stuff done for free. So yeah, and several of you have commented that the problem with socialism is you eventually run out of other people's money. And I find that to be true. Eventually you run into a bad situation. You run out of people's money, or everybody needs something all at the same time, and nobody's able to work for free, basically.
But less. To believe otherwise is to commit the Rolls-Royce fallacy on a more mundane level. For the government to make some things more affordable is to make other things less affordable, and to destroy people's freedom to make their own trade-offs as they see fit in the light of economic realities rather than political visions. Trade-offs remain inescapable, whether they are made through a market or through politics. The difference is that price tags present all the trade-offs simultaneously, while political affordability policies arbitrarily fix on whatever is hot at the moment. That is why cities have been financing all kinds of boondoggles for years, while their bridges rusted and their roadways crumbled.
So yeah, obviously that made a whole lot of sense. I mean, it's Thomas Sowell we're talking about here. So of course, every time we check out Thomas Sowell, it's gonna make a whole lot of sense, which I think is part of the problem for, you know, the mainstream media and why they don't show Thomas Sowell, because he makes too much sense. He makes way too much sense. You know, you put a program of Thomas Sowell on and everybody wakes up, not woke, but everybody wakes up and realizes, oh, okay, yeah, we're doing this whole thing completely wrong. You know what I mean? So I love checking out Thomas Sowell because he always explains it simply in layman's terms, in a way that's easily understandable and that we can all digest very, very easily. So always appreciate Thomas Sowell. Definitely a national treasure and should be appreciated a lot more and talked about in the mainstream media a whole lot more. But like I said, we know why that's not happening. But to talk about, you know, a little bit what he was talking about in the video before we hop into this next clip, it is strange how a lot of politicians try to push this, you have the right. It should be free. Nothing in life is free. But to, you know, I don't want to talk bad about them. You know, I don't want to be rude or anything, but like to people who aren't as educated, they don't understand that, and politicians play off of that. They know that they don't understand that, so they say, hey, you should have this for free and I'll give you this for free. But in reality, nothing is free. They're just taking it out of your checks or taking it from somewhere else. Like Thomas Sowell said there at the end, if they're not taking it out of your checks, more out of your checks than they already are, they're taking that money away from something else. So to boost up one thing is to neglect another thing. So they give you free money, but your roads have potholes all over the place. And then you wonder why your roads are terrible. And it's because, well, they were giving you all this free stuff. Like, duh, they called it free, but in reality, it wasn't free. They took away from the road the road fund. So now your roads are terrible, but you got some dollars in your pocket, but you're bending your rim every time you drive down the street. So, it's shameful what these politicians do. It truly is. It is really, really shameful.
Your longtime friend, Walter Williams. Now we come to current politics. The bottom line is that President Donald Trump does not have the personal character that we would want our children to imitate, but save his misguided international trade policies, has turned out to be a good president. Tom?
I think his policies have been, by and large, policies that were far better than that of previous Democratic or Republican administrations.
So
I go by the consequences.
Okay.
I mean, he hasn't produced the right rhetoric, but the fact is that unemployment among low-income people, Black, Hispanic included.
Wait, but before we get too deep into that is one thing that I have heard about Trump, and you guys can tell me if you think this would actually work. One of the major things about Trump, or people say that they hate about Trump or dislike about him, is the things that he says. His policies are great. I've heard people say that across the board, left, right, it doesn't matter. Obviously not the mainstream media, but just people in general say that the policies were good, but the stuff he was saying was terrible, so to speak. So do you guys think if he cleaned up the things that he says, if he came back in office in 24, or even as he's running for office, which I heard some conflicting news. First, I heard that he was going to announce that he was running sometime soon this year. I've recently heard, I want to say just yesterday, that he isn't going to announce until next year that he's, officially running again for like financial reasons or something. There's some stuff that has to be done. Once you announce you're running for president, then, some financial stuff gets muddied or whatever. But anyway, do you guys think that would work? Because I think the only reason why he lost in the last election is because people didn't like the things that he was saying. And, of course, in the media, they like to twist a lot of things. So if he cleaned up his speech so that his words could never even be twisted, even no matter how hard the media tried, they couldn't twist his words, do you think he would just get every single vote possible? I mean, it'd be impossible, but instead of what was it, like 79 million votes or 78 million votes, do you think he would get like 120 million votes or something crazy? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know. I think he could. Me personally, for the most part, across the board, people like the policies. The sticking point for a lot of folks that didn't vote for Trump, from what I have heard, and maybe you guys have heard something different, is just the stuff that he was supposedly saying. So y'all let me know.
Is at a level that is far lower than Hispanic. But the fact is that unemployment among low-income people, Black, Hispanic included, is at a level that is far lower than it's been in decades. The economy is booming in a way that no one had predicted. People like Paul Krugman was saying that when Trump gets in, the economy is going to tank. No, the economy hit new highs.
All right.
But there are so many people among the intelligentsia, especially, who are absolutely immune to facts. It's as if they took their anti-fact shots every year, and the facts will just not affect us.
That is so true. It's like people take an anti-facts jab. They're immune to the truth, no matter how much truth is thrown in their face, which also might be a problem with what I was asking about earlier. That is so true. So true. And Sonny Hostin of The View is a perfect example. But anyway, we'll save that for another day. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, that is definitely one of the things that I've heard quite a bit. So I think it would benefit him greatly if he just cleaned up some of the things he said, just a little bit, just enough so that the media couldn't twist his words. Because one of the things that I've also noticed, the more that I've checked out Trump and what he's actually said, is that the media twists his words a lot, and sometimes so much so that what the media says he said nothing even close to it. They, kind of read between the lines, supposedly, and, came to their own conclusion on what he meant. But they state it as what he said. And it's completely not true. So I think, me personally, if he cleaned that up, he'd break a record. Especially with what is going on now and how fed up, so many people are. So many people. I mean, I think Biden's approval rating is like 30-something%. Like 36, which is just crazy still. 36%. Like, whoa, who's approving of this? I'm just saying, who's approving of this? My goodness. I think it should be lower than that. It should be like 10%. I mean, of course, you're going to have your delusional folks, I believe, of course. So I think 10% is where it actually should be. But hey, that's just my opinion. Y'all let me know how you feel about it all in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, and of course, hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.